Okay, when you have any task, you should try to quote one example each for each of that point. If you're writing in the favor or against, you should at least quote once. If you agree, why you think you agree, you give one example of that. If you disagree, you can quote one of the disadvantages of that. You can quote one example for that even as well. But don't use too many examples. You shouldn't be based upon too many examples. There should be one response. That should have one example. Okay? You don't have too many examples. Discussion. Writing task 2 is more like fighting a case in the court. When the lawyers, they defend their clients, they come up with a lot of evidences, they quote the references from the previous cases, and they try to prove their client absolutely innocent. You have to do the same. You have to support your arguments with that discussion that you can make on that. We just talk on that even. Conclusion is the last thing that you have to do. Conclusion is the last point that you can make. That is your final opinion. Final opinion should be prolonged. It shouldn't have too much length. It's not like you are writing 70, 80 or 90 words on that. You should write 2 or 3 lines. In some conclusion I've seen they write it too short. 2.5 and 3 lines. Okay. It means that you are not opening any new discussion in that conclusion. You, on the basis of all that information all that discussion you had above, you can reach this conclusion in 2 or 3 lines. I've got some examples on that. Evidences. So, what's the difference between example and evidence?
Evidence is real life based examples, and examples are you can state anything. Evidence is like we can use COVID as our real life example.
Authentic
research.
Yeah. Evidence is
So you can take examples from around the world. If your knowledge is good, you can quote examples from around the world, not from your streets, not from your home, not from your personal lives. Some people, they write too much about themselves. They write I do. They say my. Okay. So you have to leave these simple examples and you have to go out of that. And for this, you need knowledge as well. If there is any food shortage around the world, we can talk about Somalia and probably other countries where there are a lot of places there are, we can see, we can have the drought victims over there. So you can quote their examples. If you're talking about the shortage of rain and other things, you can quote these examples and how the people are living below the poverty level, how the food shortage is being treated over there. So that's example, you can say that. And if some steps have been taken, so and then to control the situation, so you can quote the evidence that these steps were effective. So that's the evidence of that. You can have that in that sense. Okay, you can have one more example that we can have this for this topic. That in some countries men are required to spend some time in military. So what are your opinion? So we can have one example.
Korean.
South Koreans. It's mandatory for them to spend 2 years at least.
And it was even mandatory for all of us before the year 2000 and 2001. So it was even practiced in Pakistan as well, National Cadet Course.
Yes.
So the students that they were in their college, especially the first year and second year students, they had to practice like for up to 20 days with the military. So
It's
that was
also
the
It's also mandatory in Turkey as well.
It's also mandatory in Turkey. Yes. It
For
was.
18 months.
It was, and in some countries that is still being practiced. But mostly countries, because since the introduction of the technology, they are not relying too much on the number of people. Okay, they are now relying upon their technology. Relevant or living examples. You can quote the living example. living example, what's happening around the world. You can see one of the living example of this is that. Okay. You can have, if you are quoting about the natural calamities, what are the causes of that, or then you can quote some of the examples. You can, such as the tsunami is one of that. Okay. It's the other thing that you can quote. You can give a living example or the example from the past as well. Your knowledge, as I've told you, that your knowledge is important. If you are well educated, obviously you will have more knowledge as compared to other people, other students that have not studied too much in their academic career. Experience, if you have experienced anything, even it could be in your family. One of your uncle that who spent some time in military, so you want to quote some of his life examples, you can have this. You can share some of his experience, and even your own experience, but to some extent, not that much. Don't make a task that is based upon your life story. Okay, you have forgot about your task and you're talking about your own experiences and details. Personal ideas comes in a sense when you are agree and you are quoting any opinion. So then you can quote your ideas on that. And if there is any problem, you can come up with the suggestion or solution as well. If the problem has been discussed, so you can talk, you can have a debate, you can have discussion on that, and therefore you can have suggestions from your side that it would be better if we could apply this, if we could have this, then you can use these words in that. But it should indicate that you are coming up with a suggestion to support or strengthen your response. Okay, spelling grammar, when you write, that's different. When you speak, that's different. Because when you speak, nobody checks your spelling. But when you write, your spellings are exposed. So you need to be extra or super careful when you're writing down the spellings. Do care about the word that you're struggling with or you feel that you are having difficulty. You can keep on practicing those words. With a bit of practice, you can overcome that spelling problem. And these spelling mistakes could be repeated at several times in one response.
Yes.
And it means that you're making not one mistake, you're making dozen of mistakes in that. Okay, so avoid it. We already talked about some of the grammar. No repetition. If you are copying some of your ideas and you're pasting them at the end in order to fulfill the number of words, the gap of the words. So you should avoid this because that will be notified. Do not leave main topic. That's the thing that I've told you before, that if you're leaving main topic, already showed a box to you that showing that if you're writing off topic, that you will be penalized for that as well. Always read your response once. Don't leave the mistakes for the examiner. Don't leave it for him to note down those mistakes and to cut your pants off for that. Just read them first yourself and try to minimize the number of mistakes possibly you can. Already talked on that. Do not repeat the ideas.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And provide spoken English. Be more formal. Spoken English. Spoken English plus contractions. Don't use the words that are not there in the dictionary, in any standard dictionary. You will not find out these contractions in the dictionary. You will not find out this kind of a vocabulary over here. So contractions are not there. So words are not there in the dictionary, don't add them. That will be in the spoken. Most of them will be in the spoken form. So avoid this. The words are not there in the dictionary.